Okay. Hello. Okay, the mic is on. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Wherever you are. I wanted to sound like a Gen Z. I wanted to say hello. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. You know, that kind of thing. You're welcome to my YouTube channel this morning. And I'd like to weigh in on issue. If you're, I know I didn't tell people I'm going live, but people who would watch it later, and okay, let me just let me connect to Facebook. For some reason, I've not really been seeing my my life on Instagram. Though my daughter says something, 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 I don't know. The way I know these things before, it seems they are changing. What I know before was that if you go live from this place, automatically, you have live. You have it, in all the platforms you're connected to. It begins to show and all. Okay, so today I want to weigh in on. Meanwhile, let me start by thanking everyone that joined me for 7 Women in the Bible in 7 days. I am more than grateful. God bless you. God honor you as well. And like I said, at the end of the 7 women, I said we're going to have our prayer platform officially for our children. And if you noticed, you've been seeing me posting prayers, you know, on Facebook and all. But come 2025, we're going to have a dedicated page for mothers who are, praying mothers, to pray for our children, to intercede for them, to call forth their destiny, and all. And there will be arrows in our hand and not arrows in our hearts in Jesus' name. So come 2025, we're going to be having that and some other things. So today I'm not coming this morning. I know, yeah, I have different expressions actually. One of my expression is what you see me do in prayers and in the word of God and all. However, I'm actually an educator. Yeah, that is actually my my first expression. I'm an educator. I I was a school director for 7 years, K to 6 school director, what is known as nursery and primary school director. And I've been in the education industry for 11 years and counting. I have a master's degree in education. I have certificates in education from British Council, from AfriSage, from just different, from Gulf Education, just different. So I've been I'm an educator, but maybe because I also do prayers for children, so sometimes people have forgotten the other parts. Today, I'm going to be talking as an educator. Yes, we're going to still pray. I'll have another video where we pray and intercede for our children. I want to talk about the stampede that's been happening in Nigeria for a while now, especially with the sharing of food, the palliatives that are being given out by both individuals and private organizations, and it's a call, is a call for if we have to look at it holistically, it's beyond what we are saying. It's beyond, I know people. Sorry for the interruption in the video. I'm truly sorry. So it's beyond just hunger. And truly, I am not downplaying hunger in all of this. I'm not downplaying hunger in it, But as an educator, I always try to put on my sorry, I'm like I told you, I'm connecting to Facebook, so that people on Facebook can see me as well, you know. Yeah. So as an educator, I try to look at things first of all from my education lens. As an educator, where did we get it wrong as Nigerians? Where did we get it wrong? Why, how, and when did we get to the point where, we're having this much stampede. Yes, we will say hunger, which, like I said, I am not actually downplaying hunger in the land. I am not. However, I want to look at it. I want us to look at it critically. Let's not treat symptoms. Let us treat, you know, the causative factors. You know, where did we get it wrong that Nigerians cannot line up? Nigerians cannot be in a queue, even for the very simple things. It's so difficult to get Nigerians to be on a queue. Where did we get it wrong? And today I want to talk on it as an educator. I tell people that everything a child learns, if you look at if you look at early childhood education, which is from 0 to about 6 to 7 years, depending on which country you're quoting, you know, even some say 8 years, you find out that everything a child needs to learn, you know, to succeed in life is from the early childhood education. Every other thing is built upon that. Every other thing is built upon the foundation which the child has gotten from early childhood education. And today I want to ask us as Nigerians, I have come here as an educator, that we should reason together. We should look at this together, because I know people have written all kinds of things, you know, and all, but I am looking at it from the perspective of the kind of education we are giving to our citizens. I'm looking at it from the kind of education that we are churning out there, and we're not even bothered. I see that you see when school bells goes off, you see children running out like hoodlums. When it's break time, you ring the bell, children are they run out, you know, pushing themselves. This thing starts from the adult you see today who cannot stay in a queue, did not start off as an adult, not being a queue. It started from their early childhood. It started from when they were still in their nursery school, or when they were still very, very, you know, at the formative years. If you look at the curriculum, especially people who do Montessori, which I know that even some other people who are not even doing Montessori have borrowed from, there is something called practical life. One of it is teaching children to be on a queue, taking turns to do things. And a lot of times, you know, Nigerian parents, and even sometimes with pressure to the schools, it's not one of the basic things we're looking out for. Like I told you before, I was a school director for 7 years, K-6 school. So I know what I'm saying. Because when you start, I remember that most Nigerian parents are looking out for cognitive ability. That is all they are focused on. Mind you, education covers 3 domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. The cognitive is that which has to do with brain. My child can write 1 to 10,000. And so, my child can recite the timetable from 2 times table to 12 times table. So, but when it comes to those practical things, you see that the parents are not even. I remember one of the times we had a particular topic, which was, I think, lacing of shoes. You know, that week, the practical life was on lacing shoes. And I remember a parent wrote in the communication book that, is this what I paid for, to teach my child how to lace shoe? And even when you have engaged them and so on, he said, in this other school, they are writing they are talking of 3-year-old children, writing 1 to 500, writing 1 to 1,000, and you're teaching my child to lace shoe. I remember another time where we were teaching them how to pour, you know, this is a jar now, you know, I have this jar here, and we're teaching them how to turn from this jar to this jar without spilling. And then you see Nigerian parents so angry. They're like, is that what I paid for? My child to come and learn how to turn things without spilling? And the question I asked one parent, I said, do you know there are so many adults who can't still lace their shoes properly? Do you know there are so many adults who can't turn something without spilling? These are life skills. These are the skills you need to succeed in life. These are the skills that beyond learning timetable, beyond learning how to write 1 to 1,000, beyond learning how to write 5 pages of notes for a 3-year-old, these are the skills that stay with them. These are the skills that make them productive members of the society. These are the skills that will reduce wastage from them in their life, and even places where they work. Have you seen when you go to the market, the person pouring oil? I always use that as an example. When you get to the market, you're seeing where they sell palm oil, where they are turning it from jerry can to the smaller containers. You will see oil all spilled on the floor. Sometimes even with a funnel they are using. Because the skill is not there. So I beg to differ when people say, okay, just that people are hungry. No, hunger is a factor, but that is not the causative factor. The causative factor is that we must rethink the education we are giving our children. We must begin to look at how are we building from the early childhood education? Are we building our children to be able to take turns, to be able to be on a straight line, not to push, not to, get in front of the other person? Because when you teach children that, give them that foundation, they do it for 4 years in their nursery school, 6 years in primary school, another 6 years in secondary school, it becomes a lifestyle. And that's why you see people will queue up for fuel, and someone else comes just from nowhere and comes in front of them. Very bizarre behavior. We must rethink the kind of education we are giving our children. We must rethink the kind of education we are having in Nigeria. We must begin to look at education holistically. And when I talk about the parents, I also talk about the school and even the stakeholders in the education sector. We are not focused on the things that would, the skills that will make our children better members or productive members of the society. I used to say this jokingly. I used to say that all the lambda they taught me better, the y, the x. SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. If I can still remember, gamma. I used to ask myself, in the equation of everything I'm doing now, where is gamma? Where is beta? How am I able to apply beta, gamma, alpha, the y, the x to the things, my practical life right now? And truly, I'm not downplaying those things, because if you're going into engineering and all, you will need it for your exams and all whatever you're configuring. But the point is, when you're done with that, how does it apply? How do you use that? What is the coefficient of the y, the x? SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. What is the coefficient to your life, to the society, to the things you're doing in your career today, in the way you live your life every day? What is the coefficient of that? But I remember that I had teachers who, oh, God bless Mrs. Nkadi. I had teachers who made sure that you kept your book. Your book was almost in the same condition as you started in September and the session was ending in July. She would tell you, wrap your books. She would tell you, and she would inspect it. I remember I was one of those people in my social studies then. She would look at it, she would feel it, she would tell you to number your. These are skills I'm still using today. That I handle books well. These are the life skills. I remember the ones that will teach you, your pit is smelling. Did you shave it? These are the things I'm still using today. I can't even remember what the Y, the X has done for me. I cannot. But I know that for me to be a better and productive member of the society, it was those soft things, soft skills, so to say, social and emotional learning that some teachers took upon themselves to instill in us, that is still guiding me today. So I bring it back to us that we need to rethink the kind of education we are giving. Stampede happens all over the world. I agree with people. However, the way and manner it is happening in Nigeria calls for concern. And I know that some people say, but they've been like I watched yesterday, a particular church said they distributed things to 30,000 persons and there was no stampede. I can assure you, I can tell you for free that they must have had serious, heavy presence of security personnel, Nigerian police, civil defense, and so on. My question is, in a country where there is under-policing, is that part of the job of Nigerian police to come and make sure that people are lining up? To make sure that there's that people can stay on a straight line without getting in front of each other? A country where we're already under-policed. So the point is, we need to go back to the drawing board. How and what kind of education are we giving out? Both the education managers, the ones who are in charge of education in our country, what kind of education are we giving out? What kind of education what do we intend to achieve from the kind of education we are giving out? The curriculum we are using today, how does it meet the societal needs? Because if we continue this way, it will continue. So what it means is that anytime you don't have enough hands, I know someone will say, okay, what do we do about the adults? Truly, I do not have the anointing or the skill to repair adults. My skill and anointing is to mold children. So people who can repair the adults right now should. But I am talking about the ones that are still coming up. How do we address these needs? How do we teach our children to take turns? How do we incorporate it in our curriculum? How do we incorporate it in what we are teaching? How do we make sure that this is a part and parcel of, daily activities in school, in the home? And that comes to the question of how relevant is our curriculum to our societal needs? Because a curriculum has to be relevant to your societal needs. That's why I tell people curriculums you develop a curriculum, you do not copy a curriculum. You do not import a curriculum. Because a curriculum, you can borrow some things from other curriculum, but you develop a curriculum. Because in developing of a curriculum, you are looking at your societal needs, your societal challenges. How would this curriculum meet all this? How would the curriculum address, if we're making a curriculum for the next 4 years, the next 3 years, and we have noticed these are the gaps in the society, how do we develop curriculum that will address those gaps? How do we develop curriculum that will address those gaps and be able to bring the outcome we need? So like I said before, you develop a curriculum, you do not import a curriculum. You do not copy a curriculum. And we need to go back to the drawing board. What is the Nigerian curriculum meeting the societal needs? We have needs right now, all kinds of needs. But I'm just talking about the one of not being able to stay on a queue, not being able to line up. These things are not normal. No, don't normalize it. Don't normalize it at all. Don't even rationalize it, that is how humans are. No. The same Nigerians will travel abroad and they'll be on queue at the airport. You will see these same Nigerians. I remember in 2018, I remember seeing a serving honorable or senator. If you see the way, in fact, I never knew that was a serving until, you know how Heathrow is. You have lots of these people, checking your passport and all. And I looked again. I said, but this is honorable, whatever. Serving honorable. He was on the queue behaving himself because he was outside. So don't tell me that's how human beings behave. It is a system that has been put in place to make human beings behave that way. But I can bet you that same honorable in Nigeria will not queue at the airport. In fact, he will come in with his protocol and they pursue people and they move. That is the kind of society we have raised. So don't tell me, don't rationalize it and say it is a Nigerian thing. No. Some weeks ago, the city I stay in right now, they love hockey. Hockey is their thing. And I remember whenever they have these hockey games, the queue, if you see the queue, I'm not exaggerating, you'll be looking at almost 1 kilometer of people lined up, nobody moving out of the line. I remember standing by, and the Nigerian said, this will not happen for Nigeria. Ha! For Nigeria, na lie. And these are people that have purchased their tickets online, so they had a queue for them. Then they had the ones who wanted to buy tickets on the spot. There was another queue. And I stood for almost 40 minutes, and I never saw even one human come out of there to get in front of another person. I never did. So it's not, don't say that these humans are like that. No. It is what we have inculcated in our children. It is what we have inculcated in our system. And guess what? It's coming to bite us. It's coming to haunt us. The chicken has come home to roast. However, we have another generation coming up. My fellow educators, what are we doing? Education managers in Nigeria, minister, curriculum developers, and so on. Are we developing curriculum that will meet the needs of our society? One of the needs is to get Nigerians to queue properly. It's to get Nigerians to be on a straight line, whether straight or curved, but just make sure that you're not coming in front of people. It's to make us to have that patience and discipline to be able to stand through and exercise without cutting, trying to come in, and so on. It's also that same thing of making our leaders have the same experience with us. Because here you see even the political leaders are on the queue. But you know, when you are on the queue and some person comes from, is one something, kitchen assistant, special assistant, I don't know, and then they bypass you and the person, so people naturally want to react. Like I said, I do not have the capacity to repair adults, but I'm talking about I have the capacity, and that is what my own job is, to mold children. And that is the one I'm concerned about. How do we walk through our curriculum to make sure that it's meeting the societal needs? Because these people that died, those deaths were needless. Those deaths were needless. Even you as a parent, you're driving, you're passing, you know this is a one way you're passing, and you have your children inside the car, the children whom you have paid millions of naira to in the school. Then you go on against the traffic. You see that your action has nullified the money you paid. It has nullified the money, that school fees. You have just finished the school fees by that action, because children learn from your actions. And the second part brings me to the safety measures we put in place, even in mass gathering. I have watched some of those videos. Some are gory, I can't watch some. But I kept asking, were there not ambulances? Is it that these people gathered people without having ambulance present? I mean, I really can't understand it. Because I know that even international protocol requires that if you're gathering a certain number of persons, you need to have ambulance, at least an ambulance ready, standby. And this is a society where 911 works. So they still require, some will say 15,000 persons, you should have one ambulance. But in Nigeria where there is no 911 working, you must have ambulances. Because if there were ambulances, those people would have been evacuated early, taken to the hospital fast, and then probably saved some. Maybe some wouldn't have died. So, safety protocol. I was just thinking the other day. I said, the church I went to in Abuja for 17 years, we gather people, maybe 3,000, 4,000 at a service, and we do 2 services. At the point, it used to be 3. And it just dawned on me that we never had an ambulance in the church. That the church did not own an ambulance for that kind of mass gathering every Sunday, running that number of services every Sunday. And it's not just my church alone. I know there are other churches who hold larger numbers of humans in the hall. So, and I see More churches are building 25,000 seating capacity, 50,000 seating capacity, 70,000 seating capacity. My question is, do you have ambulances? I'm not saying rented. I mean the churches. Do you have ambulance stand by the mosques? Do you have ambulances? Because there could just be an emergency. And if there's an emergency, who are you calling? These are things, they are all food for thought. I do not have the answer. But I just want us to think about these things as we carry on our daily activity. I want us to think about these things as we go about doing what we are doing. I just want us to, as Nigerians, begin to rethink our education, rethink our safety protocol. Even during a fire outbreak, there's a protocol to even running out in emergency. Yeah, I've been in an apartment where twice there was a fire alarm went off, and you could see the protocol to even going out. No stampede. Because there's a protocol to it as well. And these things are taught over and over in school. Before you host your event, they're already telling you, this is the exit, this in case of emergency, fire outbreak or whatever, this is the route you take. When you get out, you go to the muster point and all. How many of such do we do? So this morning, I don't really have much. I'm just wearing my garb of an educator, and who has been in the system, to say that we need to rethink the education we are giving our children. We need to rethink our curriculum in Nigeria. Is this serving societal needs? You don't just import a curriculum and just tell people to use. What will work in Finland may not work in Nigeria, because the societal needs could be different. What will work in Canada may not work in Nigeria, because the societal needs are different. And that is why you develop a curriculum. Thank you so much. And I hope that with this few points of mine, I've been able to convince you, both parents, that when schools give your children assignments like lacing of shoe, they come home and tell you, Daddy, what we're doing today is everybody should be on a queue, Daddy, please, can you be on the queue? Mommy, be on the queue. Let's go around on a queue. I hope you do not get angry with them. Just know that you are contributing to national development. When they come back and say what we are learning today is pouring water from this container to this container without spilling, do not get angry. You are teaching your child life skill. Those life skills are even much more important than writing 1 to 1,000. Yeah. And I keep saying it, the things that we need to succeed in life most times are not taught in schools. They're not taught in schools. But we need to start incorporating them. So for the parents and for the schools, the educators, I don't want you to succumb to the pressure, because there seems to be a rat race in schools, between schools rather. Oh, in that school, this child is writing nursery 2. They write 1 to 2,000. Fire the children to write 1 to 2,000. Don't be in that competition. I know it's not easy, because at the end of the day, it's still a business and you don't want people to leave. But you must find a way of balancing it. So for the education managers, I want to say, we must rethink our curriculum. We must begin to put the things that are needful to us as a society, as Nigerians, and say this is what we are going to be studying in the next 3 years, to make so that we can raise children or people who are productive members of the society. I just use one aspect of Stampede. There are other aspects that should be in the curriculum. I'm just using just this one. And then to people who are organizing mass gathering, what safety protocols are you putting in place? How many ambulances do you have standby? It's not, God forbid, it will not happen. I remember one program that someone close to me had, and they had this ambulance. and they paid every day and they never used it. Some other person will say that was waste of money. But suppose there was the need for it and it wasn't there. What will you compare? How much is that compared to a life that needlessly shouldn't have died, that died in such a manner? It's nothing. So if you're organizing mass gathering, I think you need to do the needful. And then for mosques and churches with large numbers, I think you should have churches with large numbers. Those are mass gathering. You must have at least 1 or 2 ambulances at your every service you have. It just shows responsibility. It doesn't negate your faith that nothing will happen. No, just responsibility. So, thank you so much. I hope I have been able to say 1 or 2 things and touched on the Stampede. I know people have different opinions about it, and truly, my opinion doesn't invalidate your own opinion. But like I said, Irene Oba, I am an educator first, and I look at things from the lens of education. I know that you have looked at it from the lens of hunger, the lens of this, the lens of that. It doesn't invalidate your own opinion. But I know that if we can get the education right, I don't want to say half of Nigerian problem is solved, but a good number of Nigerian problems will be solved. Thank you so much. When you watch this video, please, I beg you, leave a comment. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I hear it's totally fine. You can agree with me. You can disagree with me. It is fine. But I love to read your comments. I live for those comments. I love to see comments. I love to see engagement, because from there we could pick up another issue. I'll come your way again. In the next 6-7 days, I'm going to be bringing nuggets on education. But after now, I'm still going to pray for our children. These are my expression. Like I told you, I don't know how to repair adults. I only know how to mold children by the help of God and through my educational principles. Thank you so much. See you some other time. And if you enjoyed this video and you want more of this, kindly tell me, let me know, please, that, oh, Irene, I love this. Thank you so much. God bless you.